when I was a child, I was deeply puzzled by this world that I had been born into, and felt very disappointed in. And I got this idea that the Native Americans, I must have got it through reading the Lone Star Ranger and Zane Grey and watching Hollywood movies, that somehow the Native Americans had a good grasp of what life was about and how to bring up their children. It was difficult to find things that made sense in the world. And the one thing that really made sense to me was the Boy Scouts and the Scout Law and the Scout Promise. That a human being, that in its highest manifestation, should be trusty and loyal and helpful and brotherly and courteous and kind. And that really made sense to me. I could handle that and aspire towards it and see that otherwise I felt completely lost in this world. Well, meaning was an important thing for me. That what I did had to have meaning and value, and aspiring to something. Well, I came to the conclusion that life was intelligent. There was all evidence all around us of how intelligent life was in all its forms. And that if that was the case, then my life was part of that intelligence, was a natural part of it. And that if I could let go and trust this intelligence that was innate in everything, then that was the way to go. When I was returning from New Zealand, some friends that I had there said that I should call on a man in the south of England who had a community there who worked on spiritual development. And I should tell him of some experiences I had had which seemed to correspond to things that they had worked 20 years in order to experience, and there, lo and behold, there I was. It was to do with a sort of separation from my body, in which I seemed to be about 2 feet outside my body, watching this Robert walking around doing his things, and they were terribly impressed by this phenomenon. So I was to tell this man, and I went down to this community in Kingston on Thames. To make contact with him. And, what they were working on was a spiritual path that can be pursued while living within an ordinary society. It's called the Fourth Way. There was a seminar on when I was there, and my wife-to-be was there on the seminar. I ended up a married man with 4 children. We bought a 7-acre plot with a modern house built on it. My idea was to get as far away from what we'd been involved in, as far away from it as I possibly could. I saw that my experience had shown me that to move physically was no solution. So I said to myself, all right, I accept that I'm here for all the wrong reasons, and things could have been better or different and so on and so forth. But I'm not going to move, I'm not going to run. I'm going to accept the fact that this is where I've got to, and I'm going to accept responsibility for that, and I'm not going to move until I'm moved. Consequently, the Native American connection became more and more a part of my thing. I went off to do sweat lodging, which I was very impressed with. The ritual of the sweat lodge, and the sincerity of the people who took part in them, and the preparation that had to go into them, and so on. And eventually, following on from that, I was then invited to take part in the 4-day sun moon dance, which really just blew my mind. I remember walking down the road and through this estate and thinking, my goodness, here I am, 65, and I'm finally going to do a Native American dance, kind of thing I dreamt of when I was 8-year-old. And here I am at 65, and it's really happening. It's truly amazing. We were given a pile of tobacco and little patches of cloth. And we had to make little pouches of this tobacco. With each pouch that we made, we were to dedicate it to somebody, a friend, a member of our family, someone we cared about, or whatever, and to make as many of those pouches as we could out of the tobacco that we were given. And I was going to go to one more dance up in New York State around about Christmas time. The preparation for this particular dance was that we were to prepare a prayer stick. So we were to choose 3 prayers that would express what we aspired to from this dance. I wished for the straight and narrow path, straight for the target, no more drifting, no more dabbling here and dabbling there and so on and so forth. This was going to be it. Go the whole hog, pay any price, sort of thing. And so when I came back from that dance, I was looking in a magazine called Kindred Spirit, and there was this advert. It said, high-level Qi Kong, truth, compassion, forbearance. And I knew I still didn't have any truth in me. And I had no idea what compassion was. I had no idea of gratitude. Gratitude for what? I couldn't think of anything or anyone that I felt gratitude for. In fact, I had no feeling. I didn't know what gratitude was. So when I saw this word compassion, I recognized that I didn't know what compassion was. I didn't have it. So I thought, well, this must be for me. This is my straight and narrow path. And this was the Falun Gong.